Hello, my name's James, and today we're going to work on another good move. In the current position, my opponent has played bishop to g5, which pins my knight to my queen. A little background behind this game: it's an actual over-the-board game played in Washington State against, well, my opponent. He was rated somewhere between 14 and 1600, which is quite impressive because he has played this opening very well. This opening comes out of a French exchange, and he actually had played an early c4 to pick up a very dynamic version of the isolated queen's pawn, which we have right here. Pros and cons of the isolated queen's pawn is, well, the con is that it's an isolated queen's pawn, but the pro is that he has better control over the center and very active pieces. So long as he can maintain that activity and create pressure, he usually compensates for the isolated pawn. So far he's doing a very good job. In the game, I actually played a very soft and probably not the most productive move. It was c6. Now, it does have its points. The purpose behind c6 was to try and lower his possibility of playing d5 and eating up more space in the center. But it also prevents his knight from coming to b5 and disturbing my bishop. Outside of that, I guess it could also allow my queen to come to c7 and support pressure on h2 at some later point in the game. But it was not as aggressive as I possibly could have done here. You see, when you have the opportunity to make some free improvements, you probably should really consider those moves. For instance, the other potential moves I could have played in this position was h6, knight to b6, or rook to e8. And we could take a look at a couple of them. Well, I would say between the three, both rook to e8 and knight to b6 are piece improvements. So I might weigh them a little bit higher than playing pawn to h6. But specifically what knight to b6 does, it attacks the bishop and also helps control the d5 square, which will prevent or slow down white's ability to gain more space in the center with d5. Rook e8 puts the rook on its best possible square without much of a loss of time, since it'll place the king in check. And it might force him to play knight to e2, even if his desire was to put the knight on f3. So both moves are productive, and when you measure them to c6, you'll see that there's a clear difference. With c6, you're making a necessary move, but with rook to e8 and knight to b6, you're choosing to improve a piece as well as make a necessary move. So a hypothetical variation could go rook e8, we get in this necessary improvement, knight e2, knight to b6, we get in a second necessary improvement, and finally we can toss in some more useful moves, h6, that might encourage him to take on f6 and give me the bishop pair as well as a possible long-term target. And if he decides to come back to h4, I can swing this move queen to e7, which sort of baits him to castle, because after a castle I might have a tactical shot of bishop takes on h2 and knight to g4. So there you are. Sometimes it's better to play aggressive rather than conservative.